Sagittarius. Pause for just a moment and listen closely. Because what's about to happen is not the consequence of any mistake you've made. It is part of a sacred design, one in which you are not meant to carry the blame, but to stand at the center as the one who was chosen. You've asked yourself before, did I do something wrong? But the truth is, you've simply been walking the right path long before others even saw it. And now, I'll show you why every sorrow, every loss, every fracture has been leading Sagittarius closer to the miracle your soul agreed to many lifetimes ago. If you've ever felt like you were carrying a weight that was never truly yours, write this down beneath the video. I am ready to be released from the burden that was never mine. This isn't just a statement. It is a message to the universe, a signal that says Sagittarius is ready to reclaim their light. And just after this, you will begin to understand the deeper reason why you've always felt too different, and why that difference was never a curse, but a calling from a mission far greater than yourself. Have you ever felt a kind of sadness that had no name, but stayed with you longer than it should? Have you ever held on to dreams that never took form, even though you gave them all of your heart? Sagittarius is the sign that often bears these invisible burdens, and no one ever really sees why. Ever since the Sun made its conjunction with Saturn, and later as Chiron, the wounded healer, cast its influence, many Sagittarians have felt as if they've been paying for the karma of others. Have you felt that? Like you're carrying the consequences of choices you never made? You try to keep the peace. You stay silent in arguments, wait patiently as others pull away, and you don't say a word because you tell yourself, if I just hold on a little longer, maybe everything will be okay. I was like that too. I once lived as if it were my duty to heal the entire world, to hold it together, to be everyone's anchor, even when no one was ever there to hold me. And then I learned, with a truth that broke something inside me, that healing others while abandoning yourself is not noble. It is a kind of sacrifice without direction, a love without roots. Sagittarius, you carry a light within you, and sometimes that very light makes you the one most vulnerable to unspoken wounds. But what's the truth? Not every pain you've lived through was caused by you, but you have the power to choose how you respond to it. You can't control who walks away, but you can choose not to abandon yourself. You can't force honesty from others, but you can stay true to your own heart. You can't avoid disappointment, but you can learn to stand up again with your eyes still facing the direction where the sun rises. Maybe you once loved someone with everything you had, and they still walked away. Without a word, without thanks, without looking back. You asked yourself what you did wrong. You looked for reasons in every message, every silence, every goodbye that never had a voice. But maybe, just maybe, you didn't do anything wrong. Maybe you were being protected from something your heart didn't yet have the wisdom to understand. Because when someone leaves your path, it is sometimes just their soul refusing to stand too close to the light you carry. And true light, not everyone is ready to receive it. So think about this, Sagittarius. You might have been the only one trying to save a relationship. But that doesn't mean you were wrong. It only means your heart never gave up. And in this world, a heart that doesn't give up is one of the rarest things. Have you ever been the only one fighting for something that mattered to you? If so, share your story in the comments. Not to relive the pain, but to let it breathe and finally lighten its weight. There's one life lesson I want to give you today. Don't let the actions of others determine your worth. Just because someone couldn't see the beauty in you doesn't mean you don't have it. It only means they didn't have the capacity to see. Don't let someone's coldness make you doubt the warmth you hold inside. Do you know why Sagittarius often finds themselves caught in the deepest emotional stories? Because you're the only sign ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion, higher knowledge, and karmic reckoning. The universe didn't create you to live halfway. You came here to love fully, to believe deeply, and yes, to hurt profoundly. But those very wounds will become the raw material through which you rewrite your mission. A mission not to avoid pain, but to walk through it and return to the highest light your soul ever promised to carry. It's not that you're too sensitive, it's that your heart was designed to feel what others overlook. If this part touched something deep inside you, leave a comment. I do not apologize for feeling too deeply, because that is not a weakness. It's proof that you are truly living from the soul. That's not all. Soon, you'll understand why Sagittarius, even with all their love, often feels the most alone when a relationship ends. But there is a truth waiting just beyond that loneliness, and you deserve to know it. Have you ever stepped into a crowded room and felt like the only one who didn't belong? Not because you didn't try to fit in, not because you didn't care, but simply because somewhere deep inside you, you've always known you are not like them. And that's okay, Sagittarius, because the truth is, you are not like them. You carry a sacred fire, a light that not everyone understands, but one this world desperately needs. In astrology, Sagittarius is the only sign ruled by Jupiter, planet of expansion, truth, wisdom, and higher faith. You did not come here to live small. You were not made to rush, to skim the surface, or to mold yourself into someone else's design. Your soul was born of questions like, why am I here? What truth must I live, even if it costs me everything? You were born not to chase power or popularity, but to chase meaning. I once heard a wise old teacher say, Sagittarius is the one carrying the torch in the tunnel. No one sees the light they hold, but without it, no one can move forward. You are the pathfinder, the flame bearer, the soul that dares. And sometimes those who follow behind will never understand why you stepped out first, why you chose to break the mold, why you gave up safety for something that couldn't yet be named. Have you ever felt that this world is too small for your soul? Not small in size, but in meaning. Superficial conversations exhaust you, empty rituals suffocate you, and the limits that others live by have never felt like home to you. This is not arrogance. This is the sign of a soul born to see beyond. Do you know, in this time of great transition, when everything old is crumbling to make room for what is more real, more honest, more soul-deep, people like you, those who keep asking why, you are the force that moves humanity forward. You were not born to repeat, you were born to explore. You were not born to obey, you were born to awaken. But those who go first often walk alone. Sagittarius, have you ever felt lonely? Like no one really understands the dream you carry in your heart? Have you been called unrealistic, a wanderer, too much, too free, too wild? If you have, let me tell you this. That is not your flaw. That is proof that you've heard your soul's calling before the others did. There are paths that only you can see. And for that reason, no one else can show them to you. No one knows why you left a stable job, why you walked away from a complete relationship that lacked soul. But you do. You cannot live a life that betrays your truth. You cannot fake joy when your heart is choking. You cannot follow a script that doesn't echo the voice inside you. And that is exactly what makes Sagittarius a pioneer soul. Share in the comments. Share in the chosen. What have you chosen that others didn't understand but your heart knew was right? Your story may be the light someone else needs on the edge of their own awakening. And if you're quietly carrying a big dream, a sacred vision no one believes in, no one supports, one you've even started to doubt yourself, remember this: the higher the dream, the lonelier the path. But that's also why the dream is worthy of your soul. You don't need everyone to understand you. You only need to keep your inner flame from going out. Here's a life lesson I want to leave with you. You don't need to try to be normal, because you weren't born to be. And when that moment comes, you'll understand. The relationships that broke in your life were not failures. They were choices your soul made to stay aligned with your deeper path. Some people simply cannot walk with you, not because you weren't enough, but because the light you carry isn't easy for everyone to stand beside. Here's a truth you need to hear with your whole heart. Not everyone who left you did so because you weren't good enough. And not every relationship that ended because you did something wrong. Sometimes, your soul is just growing, and not everyone is built to grow with you. In astrology, when the destiny axis, the North Node and South Node, moves through your 7th house, the house of marriage, partners, and intimate bonds, it acts like a silent wind, sweeping away everything that no longer matches the frequency of your soul. You might not realize it right away. You might just feel confused, empty, or even angry, because everything fell apart without a clear reason. But the truth is, the universe doesn't wait for you to understand before it acts. It only waits until you're ready to live in truth. Have you ever lost someone you believed was your destiny? Someone you once thought would walk with you until the very end? Someone who could make you smile with just a look, but also shattered you with their silence? If you have, know this: it doesn't take away your worth. Sagittarius, you were not born to shrink yourself to fit inside someone else's heart. I know you've asked yourself, what did I do wrong? If only I had been less logical, less sincere, would they have stayed? You blamed yourself. You tried to change. You tried to dim your own brilliance just to hold on to something that was already walking away. But have you ever stopped to ask, did anyone ever try hard enough to hold on to me? Some souls were born to ignite light, and light, when it's too real, can be blinding to those who aren't ready. You were not wrong for loving too much. You were not wrong for trusting someone with your whole heart. But because of that, you must learn to forgive and move forward. Not because they deserve it, but because you deserve freedom. And I choose to move forward. If you've ever lost someone you thought was your destiny, write this in the comments. I choose forgiveness, and I choose to move forward. There are no words that heal a wound instantly, but each word you leave behind is a step on your healing path. And here's something beautiful I want you to remember. Those who leave are not your loss. They are the doorway to the path you were always meant to walk. Alone, but no longer in bondage. And once you start walking without clinging, you'll see their departure was your liberation. I know there were nights when you stared at the ceiling and wondered, do they ever think of me? Was that love even real, or was it just me, imagining things? You're not crazy, you're not weak, you're just remembering a part of yourself, a part that once gave everything with pure intention. But remember this, not everyone who leaves you forgets you. They may fall silent, but memories still breathe. They just no longer have the power to keep you bound. Not everyone is ready to walk alongside a soul that's awakening, and that does not make you less worthy. It simply proves you are stepping into a higher version of yourself, one that not everyone carries the code to enter. Forgive, not to forget, but to remember in peace. Don't shut your heart just because someone didn't know how to cherish it. Your heart was made to love, and it will love again, but next time from a place more whole within you. And next, you'll come to understand why Sagittarius was always born different, why you see things others haven't yet seen, feel truths they're still trying to avoid. Not because you're too complicated, but because you were awakened earlier. And that is your greatest gift. There are some pains you never speak of, not because you've forgotten, but because even the memory still makes your chest tremble. There are moments only you know, when you cried into the night, held your broken body, and whispered, "Will I survive this?" No one saw the nights you fell apart in silence. No one was there when you dressed yourself, smiled, showed up for work, and pretended everything was fine. But you know, God saw. He didn't stop the pain from coming, but He stayed. He stayed and held you in the moments you thought you were completely alone. No one saw you cry out in the night, but God heard, and He is still writing your next chapter. In astrology, when Pluto, planet of death and rebirth, forms a trine with the Sun in Sagittarius, it does not come to destroy you. it comes to take you to the edge, and from that edge, you will learn how to rise. Not all pain is meaningless, and not everything that makes you cry is cruel. I want you to picture yourself as a small seed, buried deep beneath the soil. No light, no air, nothing but darkness. You may think, what is happening to me? Why has everything gone dark? But that is not the end. That is the beginning. Just like Sagittarius, the sign of rising after the fall, you were not made to collapse. You were made to regrow like a sprout after a wildfire. You may have lost someone. You may have lost a part of yourself. You may have believed that life was no longer worth trusting. But believe this, not everything that ends is a failure. Some endings, written in bitter ink, open up a completely new chapter for your soul. Have you ever sat alone in the middle of the night, your heart broken, and asked yourself, why do I have to go through all of this? If you have, know that in those very moments you were growing, not because you wanted to, but because you had to. You are strong, not because you were always okay, but because there were times you weren't. And you still chose to live, because there were moments you wanted to stop, but still took another step. Because there were nights you cried yourself dry, and yet still looked in the mirror, wiped your face, and whispered, I'm not giving up. Would you be willing to share a painful moment that helped you realize you were stronger than you thought? Write it down as a form of recognition for yourself and as a torch for someone else who might be standing where you once stood. Sagittarius, sometimes you'll find yourself wounded by things that shouldn't hurt, misunderstood by the very people you love most, abandoned at the moment you needed a hand to hold, taken for granted when you gave the most. But don't let those things make you lose yourself. A life lesson I carry in my soul, one I offer you today, is this: a wound does not make you weak. It is a window where light enters. You don't have to hide the pain. Let yourself cry. Let yourself grieve. And then, when you're ready, you'll see. It is in the very place where you once collapsed that you learn how to rise. If these words bring comfort to your heart, leave a comment that says, I am growing back, and this time I will be stronger than ever. And next, you'll understand why your difference is not something to hide. It's a gift God placed in your hands, so you could see what others cannot, feel what others dare not face. It's not a burden, it's an invitation to a greater calling. Maybe you've sat in a crowd and still felt alone, and you asked yourself, why do I always feel like I come from another place? Why is it that what others find fulfilling feels so shallow to you? Why do everyday conversations bore you, but the big questions of life make you come alive? Sagittarius, it's not because you're strange. It's not because you're too logical or too idealistic. It's because you were made different. In astrology, there's something miraculous. Sagittarians born between December 2nd and December 12th often have Chiron, the asteroid of wounding and healing, or Ceres, symbol of mothering and nourishment, conjunct the midheaven, the point that represents your highest soul mission. You carry a collective mission, not to belong to the crowd, but to lead the crowd out of darkness. Someone once told me, you're not out of place, you're just a few light years ahead. And I believe that's true for you. You are a soul with a special star map. A soul that cannot live in pretense. A soul that senses truth, even before it's spoken. A soul that cannot bear to live out of alignment with the calling inside. You didn't come here to fit in. You came to shift things. You didn't come for applause. You came to awaken the ones still asleep. And that's why you've always felt out of place. Quoi? That's why souls like yours often face rejection, misunderstanding, and solitude before they are finally seen for who they truly are. If you've ever been called too different, too sensitive, too hard to understand, leave a comment that says, I choose to keep my difference because it's my gift to the world. Because it is that very difference that will lead you to where no one has ever gone. And it is you, Sagittarius, who will be the first to cast light upon that land. And next, you will discover what waits for you ahead, when all familiar lights fade and you are forced to trust the light within. That's the moment you stop searching for someone to understand you and start becoming the guide. There are moments in life when we have no other choice but to become who we truly are. Not because we're ready, but because the universe says, now is the time. Sagittarius, can you feel it? A shift is happening, quiet but undeniable. It is the energy of Jupiter, your ruling planet, moving into aspect with Uranus, creating a powerful frequency where illusions break and truths once denied must be revealed. There's no going back, no more delay, no more holding back. You are like an arrow that's been drawn too long, and now it's time to be released at the speed of light and truth. You can no longer pretend not to know. You can no longer live a false version of yourself just to make others comfortable. What's coming will not ask your permission. It doesn't need your approval. Because it isn't here to please you, it's here to wake you up. There will be an event, a situation, a moment when you realize, I've always known this, I was just afraid to live it. And in that instant, you won't need forgiveness, you won't need validation, you'll only need courage. Courage to move forward. Because what comes next is not a punishment, it is the way home. Back to where you truly belong. No one needs to give you permission. No one needs to understand your path. If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. Write this down. I don't need forgiveness. I've always been on the right path. Because you don't need someone else to say you're right. You just need to know your soul is still walking. And it has never been lost. And then, when the wave settles, you'll find yourself at a crossroads. No longer the one waiting, but the one choosing. Choosing to walk into your destiny with all the light you carry. And that light is the one thing no one can ever take from you. Not everyone hears the calling, and even fewer have the courage to answer it. Sagittarius, if you're still here, still listening, still feeling something in these words catching in your chest, then I want to tell you this. You are ready. When the North Node, the point of destiny, passes through your 9th house, it doesn't come to make things easy. It comes to wake you up and assign you a sacred role, to become a translator of light. Not just to understand, but to help others understand what they've been too afraid to face. No one will give you a title. No one will build you a stage. But the universe is placing a lamp in your hands so that you may walk ahead and let that light reach the souls lost in their pain. You did not come here to run from pain. You came to understand it, and then return to light the way for those still inside it. I know, you thought you had to be strong all the time, to carry it all, heal alone, because you were afraid you'd become a burden to someone else. But now, you need to know this. You no longer have to carry it all alone. This is the time to receive, not to bear. You've given so much. Now it's time to open your heart to receive love, guidance, and recognition from the universe that you are an essential part of a plan far greater than you ever imagined. If you believe you're ready to accept your mission, leave a comment below this video with a phrase that once made you stronger. A phrase you'll whisper to yourself on the days your inner light feels dim. And never forget, the guide also needs to be loved, also needs to rest, also needs to be reminded they were never walking alone. And now, as you begin to step into your role, not as someone swept away by life, but as one who stands in the wind, carrying light, you will see clearly everything you've ever been through was preparing you for this. And this is only the beginning. Sagittarius, you are not a victim of what happened. You are the deeper reason why it all unfolded the way it did, to bring you back to the truest light of who you are. You don't need forgiveness. You don't need approval, because your soul has always been walking the right path. Thank you for staying until the very end. That wasn't an accident. It was a clear signal. You are ready. Ready to step into destiny. Ready to live fully in your light, without apology, without retreat. If this message touched something in you, leave a comment. I am the light the universe is awakening. And if you believe someone else might need to hear this too, share this video, because light only truly shines when it is shared. God is using you, Sagittarius, to end a painful chapter with healing and to begin a new journey where you will never feel lost again, because you've come home to where you truly belong.